Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And in today's stream, I'm going to be working on this little character. His name is Nansi. His whole thing is that he is an illusionist. So I was working on his design, and I decided to take a break from animating just to work on him. So I'm going to finish coloring him, putting on my base coat of color, and then we're going to go back over and add some shading. But for starters, real quick, I would like to go over him. So I did design him to look young, like he's supposed to be this young gentleman. That was the sort of aesthetic I was going for with him. Like you see the big eyes. I actually gave him spider-like eyes. Like I saw this one image of a spider, and I'm like, that'd be a good design for his eyes. Just have him have like big eyes that are like purple and lilac. I also gave him a cane just to really go with his showman aesthetic. But for now, I do want to finish coloring. So I think right now I'm going to do the his socks real quick. And I do in fact want to take from the color for his eyes, just because I want to keep the coloring consistent. Where is it? The eyedropper tool. I will say that modesty was a very big factor when it came to this design because I wanted to show his youth without that being too much of a tough topic. And like one of the big things about his character in general is the fact that when I was growing up, I watched a lot of anime. But one thing that hasn't really been done is depicting young black characters. So I said, hey, why don't I just draw my own young looking character? And like he is 12. Like I think this is a good design for a 12-year-old. Because when it comes to anime, they have a bad habit of sexualizing characters. That's not really what I'm going for. Now I did add some Creole heritage. If you do notice, like his skin is fairly lighter than Ayo's skin, as well as Miria's skin, and that's because he's actually of Creole descent. So I did want to give him this gentleman look to him. And then again, that spider aesthetic that is in his character design also lends credence to the Creole, as well as just that sort of African spirituality slash almost even some Haitian Creole aesthetic with him as well. His whole thing is crafting and creating illusions. His primary magic is illusion based magic. So, what he does is he will create. So, sort of how his magic aesthetically looks is that he will create this silk like substance that allows him to weave illusions. So, like, he'll make puppets out of silk, or he'll be able to alter his appearance. And then it's something like if he gets hit or if his illusion sustains damage, then it will sort of like melt and it'll leave like this silk like residue behind. And that's another big thing is when it comes to magic in this world, in the world of the Seven Sages, their magic is primarily based off of their perception as well as their own mental philosophy. And because Nansi is a child, because he is so young, he does not have that well of an understanding of the world. So he is more relegated to creating illusions. And so he offsets his weaknesses basically primarily only using illusion magic with the fact that he does have a smaller frame and he's also more athletic. Or not athletic but acrobatic. And I did give him Jordans, or at least like a Jordan like design for his shoes, just because I still wanted to take that black youth aesthetic as well as just that street aesthetic. Like, despite him being this put together and classy character, he does still have his youth and youthful mannerisms. Now, to me, the things were a nice touch because when I had initially made him, I wasn't even thinking about like fangs or things in the teeth department, but sort of having those spider like fangs that definitely sells his archetype. But I will say that the interesting thing I definitely look forward to exploring with this character is definitely the adultification of black youth. especially black boys, because he is a spider. Like, his main inspirations are spiders and illusions. And so it's going to be this illusion of the adultification of black youth, when in reality, in many ways, he still very much is a child in many aspects. Like, he's still a child. Now, here's another hard part. I know I want the tie to be that lilac color and the undershirt to be that more pale purple color. The one issue is that I guess I could go for like a black or like a bluish black for the leg wrap. I think I'm going to go with that. I'll go for a more like purplish blue. Just a nice, excuse me, just a nice offset from everything else, because I am going on the more lilac and purple spectrum for everything else in this design. So to have a dark blue leg harness would be very good. It could be a bit paler though. Now I will say that when it comes to the show, Nancy is not gonna be a frontline fighter. Like, he's not gonna be some kid duking it out with full grown adults. Like, he's gonna get beat if he tries that. But he's definitely going to be more of a more in a utilitarian position. Like, he uses his magic to support his teammates. He also does a bit of infiltration too, which is kind of a nice touch. I will say that when it comes to characters I designed, I definitely like to draw from the more cooler spectrum of colors. So I would do tend to use many blues and purples. But I am trying to get better with my skills and just draw from a wider color range. That's definitely something I desire to work on long term. Especially for my black character designs, because I do think that they would benefit a lot more from cooler colors. And I did decide to change up my streamer layout because this is going to be a part of my speed paint. Like I'm recording while I also stream, just so I can gather my footage, the footage that I need. You know, I was thinking I could actually probably give him, or at least give his suit like gold buttons. That'd be a pretty nice design. Now, when it comes to this character, white, lilac, white and lilac were two very important colors because Innocence was a good. I will say that Innocence was one of the big things I wanted to push with this character. The simple fact that he is young, like he is one of the youngest members, but he's also rank 5. Like he's young, but he's ranked 5 in his group, which is very important to see that he does have a bit of seniority to him. Like he does have a bit of status, a bit of understanding of what he's actually doing. Like he's not. He is seeking just as much revenge as everyone else, which is why I placed him as rank 5 because he is just one step below the innermost circle of the 7 sages. Like he's very competent, he's very knowledgeable in what he's doing, and he has an active choice and desire to do and to continue to do what he desires and what he's planning on doing. Now, also, this lilac for the fold is also intentional because even though I want him to have the overarching design of innocence, I didn't want to give him wedding attire. Like you usually see white during weddings. Like sometimes a groom will wear a white tuxedo, but I didn't want to go for that design choice. But the idea of innocence is still very major in the concept. Originally, I was actually going to keep it all white, but then I said, no, let me change this to that lilac color again. Now, the name Nansi is very on the nose, but he's inspired by Anansi the Spider, which is a very major figure in African folktales. He is a weaver, a bit of a trickster. Some believe that Anansi is just a spider, while others believe that Anansi is like a spider deity. So I really wanted to give that sense of trickery as well as weaving stories, which is why illusions is his primary form of power and magic. Because this is a child character, giving them illusions is actually giving them a lot of power. Because it's that idea of, being a child, having an overactive imagination, and then he can draw from his imagination for his illusions. So he'd be able to shapeshift into other people, or he'd be able to use his illusions to turn invisible, or he'd be able to obscure and hide things. He's very much a almost like a secret agent or even a ninja for the group. That's sort of his main thing that he does, but he also provides distractions as well. Like there will be moments in the show where they may need to get into a facility or they may need to capture a target. So what Nancy does is he will start one of his illusion shows like near their target or near whatever they're doing in order to draw a crowd of people. And that's sort of his major contribution, which is a distraction. He also acts as a cloaker for his group. So what he'll do is he will how his magic works is that if you think Neo from Ruby or even Sparkle from Honkai Star Rail, like he makes illusions that can be perceived by everybody. That's his major thing is making illusions that are able to be perceived by everybody. So anyone can see his illusions. They even affect cameras and audio equipment to an extent. Like it actually glitches out audio equipment, but when it comes to cameras, even cameras can perceive his illusions. His illusions can affect all five senses, but what he primarily does is he uses it either for stealth, so turning himself invisible or putting like an illusionary film over his body, or he uses it to sort of almost manipulate or brainwash people. Like people will think they're speaking to someone when they're really not. And he can also affect who sees his illusions on top of just casting illusions willy nilly. But that's going to be more so for him later on. For now, in the early show, it's just going to be illusions that everyone can perceive. But he will go through his own training arc. So, one of the big things for all seven of the sages is that they're based off of the six things God hates, the seventh he finds most deplorable. So, for Nancy, that is. Let me actually pull up my notes real quick. So, for Nancy, that's going to be feet that be swift and running to mischief. So, his whole backstory is that his parents were scientists But because magic was such a new concept and such a new discovery that the company his parents were working for, they essentially abused his parents. So they had to stay long hours, they had to run special experiments, and it led to a major burnout that hospitalized Nansi's parents. And that led to him essentially having to become the breadwinner for his family. Again, that sort of idea and that character concept of the adultification of black youth. So, because he was forced into this adult position early on of having to take care of his parents, he somehow, by the grace of God, still managed to work in school, but he definitely gave up a lot of his sleep in order to make everything work. When he discovered his magic and when he discovered that he could use magic to such an extent, he became a street illusionist. So he would use his magic to have light shows or have different elephants and like different seals and animals light shows, like different plays he would put on with his illusions. He also learned some acrobatic skills as well, just to further sell his sort of showman ringleader aesthetic. And that was how he was able to earn money to take care of his family. He was not able to have the life that he wanted. And so that's why another big thing is, while the characters also take inspiration from the six things God hates, the seventh he finds most deplorable, there's also some interplay between the seven heavenly virtues as well as the seven deadly sins. And for Nancy, that is kindness and envy. Now, Nancy, just flat out, he is a very nice, kind, and caring character. Like, he has one of the most biggest hearts. It's just because of his circumstances, he doesn't allow himself to show that kind heart. At least not to those who take him for granted and those who don't take him seriously. Like, he doesn't show kindness to people who underestimate him. And he is envious of those who were able to have a normal, happy life. Because he doesn't have that option. He didn't have that option. He had to take care of his mentally unfit parents as well as somehow make ends meet. Now I do like the interior. That was my initial plan all along, was to give his interior this sort of lilac lining for the spider webs. And even then the spider webs was actually kind of last minute because I was actually thinking of just giving it a matte color. But what I wanted for his silhouette and overall design was to give the illusion of 8 arms or like 8 appendages without outright giving him that appearance, if that makes sense. So essentially, because he's spider coded, because he's a beastkin, so I have to explain what beastkin are. Beastkin are one of the new races in the Seven Sages world, where essentially, when magic returned to the world, it caused this overabundance of energy that led people to, some of them, mutating into, like, say, elves, orcs, dwarves. You have beast men who are these half human, half animal people. And, like, you have dogs, cats, you have insect beast men, you have pretty much anything you can think of. And then you have beastkin, who are people with distant blood lineage to beastmen. Like, say, if you have a human mother and a and a beastman father, then there's like a 50% chance that your child will be a beastkin. More than likely, it'll just be a beastman and it'll take on the traits of whichever parent was the beastman. And then, like, as you go down and down the line, you do have like lowered uh lower gene inheritance. So probably in the next, I want to say, 300 or 400 years, you'll see more beastkin than beastmen. So like I was saying, because I wanted Nansi to be a beastkin, who is like this spider beastkin, I wanted to give him almost like a spider silhouette, but I didn't want to go the generic method of having his coattail be this singular thorax. Like, I feel like that would be too easy and a cop out. So then I had the idea of like the 8 arms. Okay, so you have his legs and arms, which are, they're given. And then I gave him like these vestigial spider legs that come out of the small of his back. Like, he can't, like, they're not really functional. I mean, I guess I could probably animate a function for them later, but that's not really the point right now that I'm trying to make. But, like, he has these spider legs that come out of the small of his back, and then I wanted to give the tail of his coat this also pseudo arm like appearance. That's why it splits into two. So, and you can definitely see it from this lower angle of the character, but you have like his arms, his legs, then you have his spider legs, and then you have his coattail, which splits into two. Like, that was the whole idea for that character, to have that spider like aesthetic. And so, right now, real quick, I am in fact painting over some of the line art because I do intend to shade the inside of his coat. Like, I want the tail of his coat to have like this color to it. I just haven't figured out what I want the interior to look like. But I definitely know that since the lines are going to be this vibrant lilac color, I would in fact like to give him this sort of, I don't know, like maybe this pale color, just so that the paleness can make the lilac pop in the design. Like, I feel like that would be very interesting and nice to have. I will say that character design is probably one of my most favorite things to do just because it really makes you think. And you can have ideas for characters in your mind all the time, but to actually sit down and vocalize your thoughts and trying to figure out how you want your character to look and how you want their design to be aesthetically pleasing for them is definitely something fun and exciting. Like the whole leg harness thing that he has right here, that actually was not a part of his original design, but I wanted to give him. I mean, I just didn't want his design to be so symmetrical. Like, I wanted to give him some asymmetry to his design, which is why I gave him the leg harness and the leg straps. The cane was also something very interesting for the character. Now, I do think that I do want to give him a more golden ring. Like this color I chose right here for the harness, that wasn't a good color because I do plan on incorporating that into the belt buckle as well as the buttons. So I am going to have to go back and just give a more yellowish gold color. It is possible to use Adobe Illustrator for character design. I use Photoshop because Photoshop is raster, so that means that there's a bunch of different um, pixels that make up the whole image. When it comes to Illustrator, that's more of a vector program, and even though it uses computer code and it forms its lines based off of what's the proper word? Because the lines are formed based off of code, there's more chance for your design to deviate or not appear as well. But anyway, hello, welcome to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. Happy to see you. So nice for you to join. Now, I do think that. Hmm. The one issue I have is that if I do, because I definitely plan on altering the color of the inside of the suit. Um, Dang, like this is actually really hard. Like not that hard, but what am I gonna go for this? Because it's already. I know I want to go for a pale color for the interior of the suit, just so that lilac lining on the inside can pop. Now, what if I do the split complementary? Because I have mostly been staying on this side of the color wheel, but the direct opposite. Like, I've been staying in this general area, and I do know that the direct opposite is going to be this color right here. So, I feel like pale green would mess it up though. Uh, if I do split complementary, then that means I'm left with either like a teal blue or an orange. Or like an orangish red. That's going to be for the split complementary. But the main issue with that is when it comes to Ayo, let me actually pull up some of my old character designs real quick. Where is he? Ayo's design is already more scaled towards the darker purples. I'm actually going to have to zoom out for this. Ayo's design is more so scaled towards the dark purples, whereas the next character, Miria, she is definitely more pink. But in the story, I will say that Ayo sort of fulfills that mentorish role. Ayo sort of fulfills that mentor role to Nansi. So you can definitely see Ayo's influence on Nansi's aesthetic, his uses of lilac and purples. Um, his design is definitely the most busiest design. Like, I'll have to go back to Ayo's design and redo him a little bit. I'll save that for later. Um, dang. In the same vein, I want to make sure I keep the coloring consistent because I don't want to. Uh, well, when it comes to characters like these, I guess I can try with the orange. Yeah, but the lilac is already very vibrant. The orange may actually hurt it more than help it though. And that greenish teal would be better. But I'm going for a more paler color. So let me actually see if I'm drawing from this area of the color wheel right here, then let me go more towards, I want to say red. Yeah, like that reddish orange. And then I can go more towards the palish, palish spectrum. I do want to go closer to red though. The most we can do is test it, guys. Like the most we can do is test it and see how it'll look. Now that just looks more moth-like than it does spider. Dang. And his skin is already this sort of light brown, so he doesn't really need more. I mean, he could go with more orange, but the interior of his coat wouldn't look that good. I probably could have chosen orange for his leg brace. Give me a second to think. Because I can go orange for his belt, and that would be like this nice, subtle design, but I want to keep everything consistent. What if I actually go more like an orangish brown for his leg brace, and then for the interior of his. That'd actually be a good idea. I could go for like the teal route. No, like the mossy green with the. Oh, that looks terrible. Looks so terrible. I guess really my only option is teal. As sad as that is. I'll go for like this sky teal. A nice sky teal would be good. Actually, wait a second. Let me try something. That actually looks good. Now I just need to make it paler. Like, that's actually a really good color. And because it's going to be 2D animated, it is a good idea for me to keep the coloring as consistent as possible. Like when you're doing animation and you intend to be coloring characters, you don't want to have to use 10 plus characters, 10 plus colors per frame. You're going to want to use at least maybe 5, maybe 7 or 8 at the most. So I do think I'm keeping the coloring quite consistent and reasonable, especially for future animations. Definitely want to go lighter. That's perfect. And then I'm gonna paint his belt. That same color. Yeah, that same color. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably could have chosen the color from. I probably could have chosen the color from his spider legs for the leg strap. That would be a nice consistency. Actually, yeah, the buttons were better as white. So let me go back and erase that. I'll just do the belt as gold. And then I'll go back and I'll recolor the leg harness the same as the spider legs. Hmm. That's actually a lot better. And it definitely keeps with the consistency. But now that that goes so good together, I'm gonna have to go back and recolor the belt too. Character design is such thankless work, but it's fun work. That's the most important part. Is the fact that you're having fun. Originally, I was gonna give him gloves, but I felt like that would be a bit too formal for his design because he is still a kid though. Now for the cane, I definitely want the rod to be like this same sort of grayish color, but the handle is definitely gonna be gold. Now I do want to work on the shoes though, real quick. Actually, no. Let me work on the mouth because that mouth is something that I've just been neglecting for so long. Uh, wow, I've been streaming for like an hour and 16 minutes. That's actually pretty good. Now, when it came to fangs, that was a very last minute thing I decided to add because I don't really take much stock into characters' dental hygiene. I mean, of course he brushes his teeth, but like I wasn't thinking like, oh, like I'll give him fangs or not. Like that's not really what I think about when I design characters. No, I will be honest. Sometimes I do forget to draw teeth. Like not teeth. Sometimes I do forget to draw eyebrows. Like I'll forget to draw eyebrows, and then like I'll look at a piece, and I'm like, something's not right with this character. What's wrong? And then it's like, oh yeah, they don't have any freaking teeth in their mouth. They don't have any freaking eyebrows to emote. I keep wanting to say teeth and mouth because that's what I'm drawing right now. But yeah, it made sense to give him fangs because he is part spider. And so, how spiders feed is that they will actually. So, everyone knows how spiders operate. They make webs, then they will cocoon their victims and drink the blood from their victims. Like, that's how these spiders work, that's how they operate. I mean, I feel like, especially when it comes to black people, we have more like we're more lenient on spiders than we are snakes. Like every black person hates snakes. Like that's just a given. We hate them, we despise them, we can't stand them. But when it comes to spiders, like you don't really get many black folks talking about spiders. Like we still can't stand them, don't get us wrong. But we're not as hard on spiders as we are snakes. Like you say snake, every black man and woman they're gonna freak out. They're gonna hate it. They're gonna despise it. They're gonna say, "Get that up out of my face." Now, I did give him the fanged molar, and no, I gave him the fanged canine and then the fanged, like, premolar or, like, pseudo canine, just so, like, this sort of, like, double fang situation that really comes out when he is upset or angry. Like, that's definitely something, that's definitely an aesthetic I want to have for these characters, is that when they are angry or upset, or when they show emotion, like you'll see glimpses of their power. Because that's one of the things I really like about Has Been Hotel as a show, is that you will actually see these characters. Like, you will see angels and demons and sinners, and how, because they no longer have a body, essentially their form takes on their soul, their physical form takes on the nature of their soul. And so when these characters in Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss, in that universe, when they get upset, like, you see their true form, or you see their soul, like, take on more aspects of their true self. And so that was something that I definitely liked. Not necessarily say that I'm, like, stealing or anything. Like, you can't really. I mean, there is plagiarism, but, like, I'm not plagiarizing. I'm just taking inspiration from an already pre-established project. Like, inspiration is okay. Like, I'll be straight up and say, like, when it comes to character inspirations, I was very much into Blaze Blue when I first conceived of Ao. And his sort of design does, like, he is also somewhat inspired by Nine the Phantom from Blaze Blue. That was just another sort of, like, side or, like, pseudo inspiration for his character. And there's nothing wrong with taking inspiration from characters, because you can definitely turn that sort of concept into your own. I definitely did these side sort of sketches just to give an idea of his dental work. Like, that's something that character designers will do, is sometimes they'll take a portion of their canvas in order to really take a deep dive and look into how they want a certain feature to be specifically expressed for their character. Like, for me, it was definitely the teeth, because those just aren't really features I concentrate on that often when I'm designing something. So I want to take the time to show people, hey, he has fanged teeth. And then I also took the time to also show his ears. I wanted to give a pointed ear, but how do I put it? I wanted to draw attention to how short the angle is. Like, in my show, there will be elves and sort of these half elf creatures. Like, that's the special thing, is that there's really no such thing as half elves or half orcs, because when it comes to the elf phenotype, it's just the features of having pointed ears or being a bit taller than other people. So when it comes to beastkin ears, they have a point to their ears, but the ridge is definitely higher, whereas an elf's ears are going to be longer. Like, the elf ears are going to be longer and more triangular shaped, whereas beastkin pointed ears, the ridge is going to be shorter. The ridge is going to be more closer together. Now, I will say real quick, as an artist, as an animator, and as someone who draws heavily from the Bible, as well as someone who is Gen Z and is coming from that post 90s satanic panic era, I desire to show people that you can draw from the Bible without mocking God. Like, that's one of my big goals and desires, is to show people that you can draw from the Bible and you can draw from scripture without mocking God. And when you draw from it, it doesn't necessarily have to be a one-to-one representation or recreation from a Bible story. And really, this show, The Seven Sages, is an attempt of me doing that. because through this show, I want to explore and shine a light on the Christian journey and the Christian experience. This show that I make is not meant to be something that's made for kids, and it's definitely not meant to be something that is inherently meant to be a feel good show. There may be feel good moments, but I want this show, I want the Seven Sages to be about the Christian journey and the spiritual journey. The idea of stumbling and falling and getting back up again, because at the end you want to praise God, and at the end you want to give God the glory. But with that journey comes a lot of difficulties and comes a lot of hardship. That's why this is primarily a revenge story. It's a story about men and women who are seeking revenge, and they have a righteous fury and a righteous hatred to seek revenge. They each have been done wrong in some way. They each have been hurt in some way and seek justice in some way. But through their journey and through their hardship, they are meant to face a change as well as face a shift in their ideology. To go from that desire of revenge to the eventual search for healing. Which is also why another big inspiration for Nansi's character is Jonah. I mean, not Jonah, is Jeremiah. Jeremiah was God's youngest prophet. Like, researchers say that Jeremiah was probably around the age somewhere between 17 to 20. And in those times, 20 year old 20 years old is still a child in many people's eyes. And even in this day, in this present day, 20 is still seen as being a child, or at least being very, very young. And so folks don't really take you seriously. Which is why Nancy is meant to be that Jonah character. I mean, Jeremiah character. Where, yes, he's young, but he still has a mission. He still has a desire, and he's here for a purpose. Through Nancy as a character being as young as he is and desiring revenge, it shows that there is still corruption in the world that needs to be weeded out and set right. Okay, before I shade, I just need to do the teacup, and then I need to color the shoes. I might just leave the chair as it is. Like, I'll just leave it as the line art, because the main point is to just design and draw the character. I do want to color the cane though before I finish up this stream. Mm. This coffee is cold, but still good though. Now, I do want to say real quick before I finish coloring, I think this post, out of all of them, shows Nansi's personality. Like, this pose, with him, like, sitting cross legged with the teacup, and, like, that single raised eyebrow, that shows his personality most of all. Because what I was going for was this little gentleman. Like, you know, in. Okay, so basically, in the black community, we have this saying, like, oh, you've been here before. Or like you were raised by old folks, or like you have the old ways. Like that's really one of the big sayings that's in the black community, where you can just tell it explains what it is. Like you can tell when someone was raised by old folks. Like they have this mannerism and they have this spirit and cadence about them. Like that's really what I was going for this character. Was like this young gentleman who is smarter than he appears. Like this bright and intelligent young man. And yeah, I do like the color. Like, the color was nice. The lilac color was very good. I do wish I could have found some more paler colors to go better in line with the lilac, but for what I have with this is really good. Yeah, this is really, really good. I like this design. Definitely one of my more busy designs, but it had to be busy for the sake of the character. For the sake of the character, which is this very formal character, it had to be as busy as it was. This is going to be a pain to animate. I'm definitely going to have to downsize or simplify some things. Like, I won't be able to animate every single rivet on his web when I finally put this into Adobe Animate. Probably go for something more simplistic like this. Now for the shoes. I've been putting those off for so long. Like, I was trying to go for formal Jordans, if that makes sense. Like, when it came to the design, I was trying to go, like, I literally looked up black formal Jordans and then I found, like, these two images. And I tried to draw the design from these two, which is just terrible. But, I tried. Like, shoes are not really my strong suit. But, like, hey, I tried. I did what I could. I did what I freaking could. So, don't hold too much on me for that. But this was the aesthetic I was going for. Like, formal black Jordans. And then I'm going to take the color and I'm going to probably add his signature lilac to the shoes. I feel you guys judging me right now. Like, this is so lame. What you doing? But it's all right. It's all good. Don't hold too much on me. Don't hold too much against me. I'm still new to all this. I'm still trying. I'm still learning. I'm only human. Don't put the blame on me. Now, before you assassinate me, there's a method to my madness. There's a method to my madness. Let the color theory before you guys judge me and revoke my black card. All I have to do now is the cane and then I'll be done. Well, and then I'll have to shade, but for the most part, like the flat colors for this character is done. You know, I went for the cute aesthetic, and I'm happy I went for that, because it's actually pretty good. I enjoyed working on this. With his lilac Jordans. I mean, lilac would be actually a pretty good color for Jordans. Let me actually see if they have lilac Jordans. Oh, they actually do have them. Wow. You know, I do like that. Literally halfway through, I look up lilac Jordans, and these are actually some really good designs. I actually kind of like them. Definitely this one. But I do like my usage for just like a solid base color for Nansi. Ooh, now that black and lilac looks pretty good. I kind of wish I went with that. But the black for laces was a good idea. Well, you know, I went with my color, so can't really have much regrets now. Now to do his cane, and then I'll be done. Yeah, this is a good character. I like this. I like this. I like this character. He looks nice. He looks good. So this is Nansi, number 5 of the 7 stages. To have him, I've always visualized him in my head, and I've always had this like design for him, but to actually now have him down on paper in a physical format and to have him be presented like this, it's just something nice and cathartic about it. The entire fact that it's been me this long to just this long to come up with a character and to finally have him down, like this is a cute design. Like this is a very cute design. I went for this character. I like it. Very much like this character. And I do think I tried to keep it somewhat consistent because I tried to give him a rounder face as well as bigger eyes to very much sell his youth, like he is a young character. Like a little gentleman. I like this. I very much like this. I hope y'all enjoyed. I have reached the 2 hour mark, so that was very much the bulk of my stream, just getting these raw colors down. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll likely make a YouTube as well as an X post about him. Like, I'll post this and then I'll shade later. And then I'll probably have my speed paint on him and on his character backstory up in the next couple days. If I'm lucky, it'll be 3 days likely before my stream. If I'm unlucky or if I'm just feeling tired, then it might be at least by Sunday. But yeah, this is it. This is the character. This is Nansi. My little spider beastkin. Has a nice cool design. Just everything about him is so cool and I like it. I love it. Anyway, I do hope you all enjoyed this stream. And please stay tuned to my future streams and videos. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share even. And I'll see you guys in my next video or live stream. Bye.